On this episode of Mythbusters, Mirror, Mirror on the Wall,
how many of me can you stand?
Adam sheds some light on the tale of a 2,000-year-old death ray.
Oh, look at that!
A story you can't turn your nose up at. The Mythbusters get themselves skunked in the name of science.
I think it's working!
And Adam and Jamie have bulletproof materials in their sights. Who are the Mythbusters?
Am I missing an eyebrow?
Adam Savage.
I reject your reality and substitute my own.
And Jamie Hyneman.
Quack, damn you.
I wouldn't say Jamie's an evil genius.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
When will the fun ever stop?
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. First up, a myth from the mists of antiquity.
This time we have what I believe is the oldest myth that Mythbusters has tested. It comes from the 3rd century BC, right from the mind of the famous scientist Archimedes. And the idea is that Archimedes apparently utilized the sun's energy and mirrors to set fire to enemy ships during the Punic Wars.
Making a solar-powered weapon? Sounds right up the Mythbusters' alley.
Well, haven't people speculated that he got his warriors to use their shields to create the mirror?
Absolutely, that's one of the main theories, and it is the very first theory that we're going to test, and that is ancient bronze shields.
The plan: use sheets of bronze to focus the sun's rays on a Roman warship and see if they can set it on fire. Anyone spot the wrinkle in the plan? Roman warships, or triremes as they were known, no longer exist outside of Hollywood.
What is the actual thickness we're looking for? What's the thickness of a Roman trimarine?
Adam gives the build team its biggest challenge. Try and construct part of a trireme using only materials available to the Romans in 215 BC.
The key factor here is actually the density of the wood, its flammability. You know, we want to be able to make this death ray have a certain temperature. We want that temperature to be a temperature that would have set fire to this kind of boat.
While Tori and Carrie are left to grapple with that little problem, folklorist Heather Joseph Witham has been brushing up on her ancient history.
Archimedes was definitely a real person, and his many inventions and discoveries were documented by historians of his time period. However, the ancient death ray wasn't written about until 800 years after it was supposed to have occurred by Anthemius. Therefore, this story has been debated ever since.
Adam and Jamie have found some bronze.
What do you think? Think I can set fire to a boat with this?
Well, if we get enough of them, yeah. It's pretty bright. I can feel the heat on my face from it. Ow, hurts my eyes. You like doing this, don't you?
I'm really enjoying it.
Unfortunately, the price tag's even more dazzling, so Adam might have to rethink the plan.
So, Tori, this is actual bronze. This is the most ancient material we're testing, and Archimedes definitely would have had access to this.
He decides to test a range of materials to see how they reflect both visible light and heat.
How many of me can you stand?
Armed with a light meter and a laser thermometer, the guys turn the spotlight on bronze, a bronze-colored plastic called mylar, aluminum, and an ordinary household mirror.
So it's reading 111. It's reflecting twice as much visible light, but like 30% less infrared. Right. I have no idea what that means, but it's fascinating. Archimedes was actually onto something. I mean, the bronze and the aluminum gave us the highest reflectivity of infrared light. But we still don't know whether infrared or visible light is more important at this distance, so I think we need to move this experiment to a bigger scale. I think you need to go outside and start running some tests.
I think that's a really good idea.
How's the Roman trireme coming along? Slowly.
I've been geeking out and reading too many books and totally forgetting about the experiment and just trying to actually make a Roman trireme, so I will go back. That'll be much easier.
They don't have to build an entire vessel, just a section of the hull.
We're ready to get our wood. This was where the siege took place. Greeks hanging out right here, trying to keep Sicily, and these Roman battleships trying to come in and take it.
What was that about geeking out, Carrie?
We're building a Roman tree rim.
Okay.
I was wondering where you keep your wood from 200 BC.
Triremes were made from a type of European pine. Wouldn't you know it, these guys are fresh out.
Let me show you what we normally recommend for triremes.
The nearest match is spruce. Not perfect, but short of going to Italy, it'll have to do.
That doesn't seem too safe.
Somewhat frightening. People didn't like driving behind me, I'll tell you that.
At the same time, the Trireme team work on their best Adam and Jamie impressions.
We just need a piece of wood. We don't actually need to build this.
Well, Jamie, I don't know. I mean, you know, you gotta be accurate.
I think it's more accurate if we just use a piece of the correct wood. Yeah.
I'm gonna need to do 4 down low and 4 behind.
Tori goes off to help Adam, who's still trying to work out which material he should use for the death ray.
So we're gonna take a reading with the Mylar, and then you're gonna switch to the Plex, and we'll take a reading with that, and then you'll switch to the mirror, and then we're done.
Looks like he's lining up a class photo, but this class is failing one basic test, aiming their mirrors at the target.
Gather them in, come on.
Makes you wonder how 300 Greek soldiers with heavy shields managed it.
We're busting the myth that 8 people can coordinate the simplest of movements.
91.
What? Who's that?
One thing is certain,
Bronze over just a couple of feet is more efficient at transmitting thermal energy, but over 30 feet, glass is far more efficient because it's a much more focused beam. And the bronze is just as polished as you can make it, it's still somewhat diffuse.
but Adam, the ancient Greeks didn't have flawless glass mirrors, did they?
I kind of got it wrong, actually. They had access to making very polished mirrors by coating their bronze with silver and mercury and getting highly polished mirrors. So we're actually going with something very close to technology that was available to them. Jamie, you're not on the target.
Jamie thinks that, on reflection, his fellow Mythbuster is on the right track.
I think it's looking surprisingly good, actually. Even with a small test like this, we saw a significant increase in temperature right away. And we're going to be going dramatically up in numbers with the mirrors that we use on the real thing. I don't see any problem here. I think we're going to set something on fire. I'm looking forward to this because, you know, this is yet another common object, an everyday household object that's put to some kind of really destructive use, which is sort of fun somehow.
Gotta worry about that guy.
Good times.
Later, we'll see if Adam can turn a bunch of mirrors into a death ray. Once again, the Mythbusters have become Whiffbusters. First, they had to get the stench of decomposing pig out of a Corvette. Now, Adam and Jamie want to find out, how do you remove the fetid funk of a skunk?
So back during the Great Depression, when you were growing up on a farm in Indiana, did you ever get sprayed by a skunk?
Well, actually I was, but it was just a little bit, and so it almost doesn't count. I did, however, experience close up what it was like handling a pet that had been sprayed thoroughly by a skunk, and I tell you, it'll make you lose your lunch.
The plan is simple and extremely smelly. Adam and Jamie will find a skunk, get it to hose them with its caustic cologne, then try to get rid of the smell using a bunch of time-honored home remedies, including tomato juice, beer, and feminine hygiene products. They need to build a decontamination shower and a pool for the runoff.
I'm afraid of getting sprayed and, you know, vomiting right in our cleaning pool. And then, you know, I don't know what to do after that.
These guys have created special effects for dozens of movies and TV commercials. So building a shower cubicle at a black plastic pool is a no-brainer.
I can see right through that.
Although they haven't given much thought to privacy. And it's even easier when part of the rig already exists.
This is actually our bubbling rig from the Titanic myth. So nothing goes unused at Mythbusters. Look at that, pretty as a picture. Your very own decontamination chamber. So you want to hand me the hose over the top?
Water coming on.
Oh, that's great! Look at that!
You gonna install one in your home?
I don't need to, I just bring this one home. So we got a table full of home remedies for skunk smell right here.
And some professional ones.
Yeah, well, we got the tomato paste, we got your hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, vinegar mixture, we've got your feminine hygiene products, dish soap, beer.
Are we drinking the beer or are we cleaning with it?
Well, if we get clean with it, we'll have one later. It's one of those things I'm not looking forward to.
Yeah, there's no excuse for getting out of this one, is there? It's like, it's not dangerous.
Nope.
As far as I'm aware, it's just unpleasant.
In fact, that reminds me, we need a bucket in case, you know, my ham sandwich comes back
The
up.
unpleasantness gets too much.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I'm gonna get a bucket.
Skunks, huh?
I'm not looking forward to this.
All we need is a skunk. Enter the guys from Critter Control. Jeff wrangles nuisance wildlife for a living, and skunks are high on the list. Amazingly, he has never been sprayed.
But I mean, it's an occupational hazard, so you must know some of the many old wives' tales about how to get rid of the smell of a skunk.
Well, yeah, there's one with the hydrogen peroxide and baking soda and liquid dish soap. That's probably pretty good for pets.
Now, the most famous one that we've all heard all our lives is, of course, tomato juice. What, can you tell us about that?
Well, if you like red dogs, you know.
Until I'm wearing clothes that were bought by the production, I'm going to stand over here.
That cage will stay somewhere dark and quiet while everyone prepares to do battle with the putrid smell.
Does it look happy?
The crew's taking no chances. It's wall-to-wall protective suits and nose plugs.
Okay, I think I'm ready.
Our stars, however, are going for a more relaxed, outdoorsy feel.
You know, for some reason, I realize that we're going to get sprayed by a skunk somewhere in the very near future. But what I'm thinking about more is, wow, I'm just about to have like gallons of tomato sauce poured all over me.
Is that appealing?
No, not at all.
Adam, if that's what's worrying you, you obviously never had a dose of Odor skunk.
They used to live behind my house where I grew up, and I definitely smelled them a couple times this summer and saw them all the time, but I've never actually been sprayed.
Skunk musk is secreted in 2 grape-sized glands at the base of the tail and can be aimed with deadly accuracy over several feet. The noxious liquid is made up of a rancid recipe of chemicals called thiols. Thiols are the compounds that cause decomposing flesh and feces to smell bad. Thiols are activated by water molecules, so trying to wash out the skunk smell only results in more skunk smell.
It's the kind of thing that you really have to experience to understand the problem.
My vote is going to go for the home remedy of hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and dish soap. I think that probably has the highest chance of actually neutralizing the smell on a chemical level and cleaning it off my body.
I'm also curious about the commercial stench remover, skunk remover, because, you know, it's guaranteed. And so it ought to work.
Okay, it's time for our guest star to kick up a stink.
What's the typical trajectory? They like lift their tail and then it kind of, does it come up?
Tail. Yeah, I mean, they'll aim.
They'll aim?
And you'll tell when they're being threatened.
Yeah.
They'll start pouncing with their front feet. That's
okay.
a warning.
Hey, you know, I haven't asked this before, but does their scent like burn when it hits your skin?
No.
Okay, good.
Oh, God.
Now, come on, you gotta stay near his, you know, business end.
You'd think it wouldn't be too difficult, getting a skunk to fire off a couple of rounds. Jamie and Adam are primed for a point-blank blast of malodorous musk. But this skunk is remaining calm, cool, and collected.
Have you ever had a skunk spray in a cage? Is there something that, you know,
What you want to do is probably get your hand moving
in
behind.
front of his face?
Well, behind, yeah, so you can see it.
Watch out, everyone, I've got a loaded skunk. This is how you hypnotize a skunk.
Come on, bud. Come on, left lie, bud.
Jimmy, I think you should start singing.
You know, they say never work with children or animals.
These skunks hate the sounds of industry.
The Mythbusters are trying everything.
Hammers, drills, drives them crazy.
But there's not even a single squalid squirt.
Do we have another skunk?
We ended up with one of those friendly skunks.
We had a bit of a letdown, you know. We got ourselves all psyched to get skunked.
We managed to find Buddha reincarnated as a skunk. It was like we couldn't do anything to get him to go.
Nothing happened. What are you gonna do? You know, we couldn't hurt or even seriously harass the poor thing. Hey. Well, it doesn't work. Can we go now?
The reluctant skunk actually foiled our attempts to get sprayed the other day. What's on the agenda now? What do we do?
Well, we've got 2 more skunks coming, and, you know, one can only assume that sooner or later we're going to get one that works. And just in case that doesn't work, we have a backup, which is Odor the skunk. It's synthetic skunk.
But it's the same stuff as the skunk scent?
It's chemically identical. Smells like it to me from here.
Oh, man. I might lose my lunch today. So there's just no way we're escaping getting sprayed.
Nope. We're gonna stink, no matter what.
All in the name of science.
Adam and Jamie have a table full of products that are supposed to bust the stink of skunk. But they need a skunk with more spunk. The Critter Control Man returns.
Hey, you got a couple of stinkers for us?
Well,
today?
I got one. Yes.
You got one?
It's a female.
All right.
I think it's smaller.
Ready?
The boys go into their skunk scaring routine. But once again, unbelievably, they come up smelling of roses.
Well, Jamie, once again, we've proved something radical on Mythbusters, that skunks apparently don't spray and you can't turn them off.
It's possible that this little girl's out of ammo. A skunk's scent glands hold about a tablespoon of musk. When the tank's empty, it can take up to 10 days to produce more. Time to sample the synthetic smell. Distilled disgust. Vials of vile stench.
And it's not even out yet.
These are actually sealed glass little things, huh?
I believe. Yeah, I believe they are.
Well,
I'm as ready as I'll ever be, which is not that not that ready.
Christine won our competition to become a myth turn. Right now, she's probably wishing she hadn't.
there it is right there. Oh yeah, there's a big wet spot right there.
Oh, well, rub it in, of course.
Oh, God.
Man, that is the stuff.
Maybe this might inspire our shy skunk to join in.
What do you think, girl? Does it smell familiar, huh?
Yeah, don't know what to make of this, do you? Just like, these guys are ugly, but they smell great.
But now, there's another problem. This bad smell isn't hanging around.
It's wearing off really fast. I mean, either that or I'm getting used to it, which is really disturbing.
Turns out the substitute's no substitute for the real thing. Sorry, guys, you'll have to find a skunk.
You know, I'm sorry to see this little guy go. I really kind of got attached to him.
Don't worry, guys. Skunk number 3 is on its way. The Mythbusters are trying to solve an ancient riddle. Did the scientist Archimedes destroy a Roman fleet using only mirrors? While Adam's working on the death ray, the target's taking shape.
This has been a crazy experience trying to build this, and I can't imagine people back then with the tools they had building these sort of ships. I mean, it's amazing to me. So Archimedes coming up with something so brilliant. I mean, he came up with so many weapons. This has got to be true.
Tori's not so sure.
They better rent a flamethrower, because I don't think those mirrors are gonna work.
Jamie's got a flamethrower in his office.
The vessel now has to be caulked or made watertight. And they're doing it the same way the ancient Romans did. First, hemp fiber is wedged between the planks.
This is Jamie after traveling around the world on his sailboat.
Freaks.
Oh, I'm gonna be sick. I'm done with this.
Then just add tar. And finally,
you cover the raw wood with the beeswax to preserve it from the seawater.
Hemp, tar, and wax. It's almost as if the Roman fleet chose the most flammable materials they could find.
That's gonna be cool.
And it's away, Rio, away, Rio.
Now, it just so happens that Mythbusters safety officer, Jim Rockwell, is a bit of an old salt. He loves a sea shanty.
Goodbye to Sally and goodbye to Sue, away, Rio.
And if things go according to plan, he might have to learn a couple of verses of Smoke on the Water.
There's not much on a boat that doesn't burn. In fact, fire is one of the biggest hazards at sea. And when you mix a light wood like pine or fir with wax and pitch and loosed up pieces of rope, unspun yarns of rope, it's just a tinderbox floating around.
So the trireme section is shipshape. Adam's chosen the type of mirrors he wants for his death ray. Now he has to work out how many he'll need and how best to arrange them to harness the sun's boat-burning potential.
All right, this right here represents a 1/12 scale model of the Archimedes death ray experiment we're going to actually do for real. Here's our miniature boat, and here's 13 Jamies focusing the sun's energy on a target. So we'll be able to aim all these guys up. So there are three methods that Archimedes could have used to actually focus sunlight and set fire to his enemies. The first and the simplest one is actually handing a mirror to every one of X number of soldiers on the shore. The problem with that is it takes a lot of soldiers to get a focused beam, to get something strong enough, and as we saw in our test with even 8 people, it's really hard to coordinate even that small number to focus their mirrors all at the same point. Gather them in, come on, hold it there, come on people, what's going on here?
Focus! Attention deficit disorder.
The second method is to have all the soldiers who are holding these mirrors actually point their mirrors at a secondary mirror, which then focuses on the source. The problem with this is, unless that mirror is curved, it sends out a scattering of beams, and you can see that up on the wall up here. There. You can see that it's not a focused beam, it's an array just like these guys. So that method's pretty much out.
Adam builds a miniature rig.
Did you know that Archimedes built the first disco ball?
And the result is quite illuminating.
The third approach, and the one we think that Archimedes was probably most likely to have stumbled upon, is holding all of the mirrors inside a common structure with a common focal point. Although this arrangement, which is called a Fresnel arrangement, wasn't invented for another 1,000 years, its concept would have been very clear to Archimedes. And that is that as each mirror gets farther away from center, its angle is increased, so it's still aiming at a common point. And in this way, you're actually able to get all of these mirrors, 61 of them, focused at one spot, and we're looking actually to make a whole bunch more mirrors than this. So I think this is the most likely arrangement we're going to go with.
They tap solar power in a similar way. At the Solar 2 project in California's Mojave Desert, almost 2,000 giant mirrors reflect sunlight onto a central tower containing molten salt. The superheated salt is then used to boil water, and the steam powers a generator. The result? Enough electricity to power 10,000 homes. Now, Adam knows the sun produces 100 watts of energy per square foot, so 300 mirrors should produce 30 kilowatts per square foot, and that's hot, about 600 degrees.
How many mirrors have we got so far?
Oh, about 250.
Those mirrors will be screwed to a frame measuring more than 400 square feet.
This is actually my depth gauge, so I can focus the mirror array from behind it. All the mirrors have a screw adjusting their angle, and this depth gauge tells me how far a given screw should be out for a given row.
The setup is big, and time is short.
I need to start drawing these circles because I need to drill 300 holes.
Right. It's not like I'm sitting over here, goofing off. I'm just trying to get this thing right. I want to get this thing as tight as it possibly can. But I understand we only have, another day and a half to finish this. So.
Oh no, we have 4 hours to finish this. We have tomorrow to install it.
So begins a Fresnel lens frenzy.
They've got paper on them so that we don't blind ourselves when we're trying to focus it, or burn down somebody's house or something like that.
Adam, this looks like a small one, but a fun one.
Oh, lots of fun. There's tons of myths out there about what is bulletproof and what isn't, and we're going to set out to test as many of them as we can.
What do we got? We got playing cards.
Books.
Zippo lighters.
It's off to the Chabot Gun Club to test this myth. The setup is simple. In place of a human body, one slab of ballistics gel, and a selection of mythical bullet-stopping items. Target number 1, a book, hardcover naturally. And the weapon of choice, a .22 caliber rifle.
Dead center. Well, pull it out. Let's see if it went through.
It did not.
It did not. So somewhere, oh, look at what it did. Punch the paper.
Yeah.
Where's your round?
There it is.
There's your round. It's probably actually about 400 pages it made it through. So shall we try a .357 Magnum, see if it makes it all the way through? Did I even hit it?
Over the top.
Over the top. Well, that's pretty lame.
Another round.
This test reveals Adam would struggle to hit the side of a barn from the inside.
Oh, I think it's your turn, sir. I can't seem to hit that damn thing.
Okay. Well, let's see what it did.
All right. Oh, went all the way through.
Okay,
right.
so
a book won't stop a .357 Magnum, but I've never considered a book to be really body armor anyway.
Our next target, a deck of cards. The Joker gets another chance with the .22.
We're going hot, eyes and ears.
good shot, Adam.
Thank you, Uncle Jamie.
And it went through it.
It did. It went all the way through it.
But not through the ballistics gel. You can see it.
Yeah, no, it made it about 6 inches into the ballistics gel. Still, if you had one of these in your pocket, it wouldn't do you any good at all. I think it's time to try the Zippo.
Okay.
Are you ready, Ace?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Looks like you hit it pretty good.
Books, cards, lighters. None will stop a bullet. Now, Adam and Jamie want to put another myth in the line of fire. And this one's a little closer to home. Every time the Mythbusters have made something go bang, they've done so from behind the safety of a high-impact resistant plastic screen. But how safe were they? Were the Mythbusters living their own myth?
There we go. All right, ready. Yeah, well, last season, Jamie, we protected ourselves from a whole bunch of our experiments using this 1/4-inch polycarbonate, which you told us all was actually bulletproof, and it's not.
I don't recall it that way. You know, that was 1/4-inch polycarbonate, and I never said that 1/4-inch was bulletproof.
Oh, I believe that the very next cut in this segment is you saying bulletproof from last season.
It'll stop a bullet, it'll stop all sorts of shrapnel, and I just love this stuff. Well, not exactly. It'll stop a bullet.
Well, what were you thinking? It can't stop a bullet, so it's not bulletproof.
That plastic is a bulletproof plastic when it's used in appropriate thicknesses and arrangements.
Anyway, we've got a sheet up there of what we had in our blast chamber, and we're going to fire some bullets at it and see how bulletproof it actually is.
So our first shot is going to be at the 1/4-inch polycarbonate.
Yep.
And we'll see what it does. You know, it most likely, my guess is it'll shatter.
Well, and that's why I think you should take the first shot, farm boy, and show us how bulletproof it actually is. So.
All right.
Have at it.
To test the stopping power of their blast screen, they'll use the 22.
Did you miss it?
It looks like it.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, the bullet went right through.
It's worth remembering the guys aren't actually being shot at in their experiments, but it's got them wondering what they should be behind if they ever are.
Not even remotely bulletproof.
Okay, well, let's try the real thing.
Let's do the real thing.
This stuff is rated bullet resistant. Again, they're using the 22.
Okay, I'm firing.
Wow.
It's a little high.
All of a sudden he's like, yeah, it's a little high. Yeah, that definitely stopped it.
The bullet hasn't even penetrated halfway. Once again, they pull out the .357 Magnum.
Well, that looks almost like a bullseye.
Wow. Look, it's like completely encased in the plastic. Oh, that is really cool. So the .357 Magnum didn't penetrate the bulletproof glass either.
Clearly, this calls for something special.
This is the 44 Magnum, right?
This is the 44 Magnum, first cousin to the Dirty Harry gun.
So this is the most powerful handgun in the world, is that right?
At the time that movie was made, yes.
The fabled 44 Magnum, Dirty Harry's weapon of choice.
Take a breath, relax.
But again, that tough little box has stopped the bullet.
It did about the same as the .357. It's a bigger hole, but it didn't go any deeper, I don't think.
Right, but it means it spread out more energy right there in the middle. God, that's fantastic.
It's becoming a source of considerable frustration.
So we gotta stop pussyfooting around here. What do you got that'll make it through that thing?
What they've got is the Springfield 30-06, the oldest caliber rifle on the grounds, and the Mythbusters' last chance to see if bulletproof really means bulletproof.
That went right through it.
Wow, look at that. Went right through that side and right through that side.
It didn't even make the thing jump. Wow, you know, this stuff is pretty impressive what it did with the handguns. It's exactly what they rated it for. You know, it's not made for a high-powered rifle.
Yeah, well, and we were using the highest powered thing they had on site today.
Yeah.
Well, we lined them up, we knocked them down, and we fired some big guns. What turned out to be bulletproof or not? Were playing cards bulletproof?
Nope.
Were books or Bibles?
No.
A Zippo lighter?
No.
And last year's blast chamber?
No.
So polycarbonate itself is not inherently bulletproof. It has to be laminated in a whole bunch of sheets, specially, and be really thick, right?
Well, polycarbonate itself is not used as a bulletproof plastic. It's got to be laminated and specially put together as a bulletproof product, and it's actually just bullet resistant.
So it depends on the circumstances whether it's going to resist the right bullet at the right time.
Right.
And all these other household objects and things that are supposed to stop bullets and famous stories about them stopping bullets, wrong, wrong, wrongity wrong.
Rollity wrong?
Wrongity wrong.
You said rollity wrong.
I did not.
The challenge sounded simple. Get sprayed by a skunk and test a batch of home remedies for removing the smell. Trouble is, the Mythbusters just can't get sprayed.
What we want is a little bit of this.
This skunk's from a different supplier.
Do you have some advice about the best way to bounce off a skunk? I mean, we think we've tried everything.
I'll tell you, I have not found it difficult. All you got to do is expose that thing. Right now, it's covered, and when you take that off, it's going to feel threatened.
So you think we're going to get sprayed?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be shocked if you didn't.
Well, Regan, prepare to be shocked.
That is a really good bark.
Maybe it's just the wrong season for skunk spray.
I've never seen it happen this
It's
way.
incredible. I
That
mean,
is.
this is third time.
There's only one option left. Let the skunk out of its cage and see if it will spray when cornered in a confined space.
Thanks for putting it in the women's bathroom.
Hey, oh my God, it's a guy, look out! Woo! Oh, loosen him up. Oh, he squirted. Yeah, he definitely squirted.
Yeah, I can
Can you smell it?
Bad.
And finally,
Squirted my shoe. The only thing I didn't want him to squirt, he squirted. Come on.
never seen anyone so happy to be skunked.
Finally, we smell foul. I'm totally psyched. Oh, Skunk, get away.
At last, a chance to test our skunk smell remedies. Remedy number 1, an old-time favorite, tomato juice.
Jamie, marinade. Wow, this is like performance art.
Now, not only do they stink, they're pink.
For everybody out there that thinks we have a great job, think again.
Mythbuster builder Scotty has volunteered to be the nose that knows.
You smell like a Bloody Mary. Woo! No, that's not skunk.
You know, I can't really tell for sure. I mean, Scotty didn't smell anything on us, and we got sprayed, so, you know, it seems like it must have done something.
Yeah.
The problem is, for this experiment to work, Adam and Jamie have to be re-skunked after each test. But this little critter isn't giving up any more juice. Maybe the sight of Adam and Jamie in their underwear sent it into shock.
Oh, the cage never seemed so good.
So it's goodbye to Regan and his skunk, and hello, Plan B.
It's so hard to get the skunk to spray. I mean, we feel relatively fine now, but the bathroom where we had the skunk, it reeks. So I think we ought to finish the test in here, use some of our substances in here, and see what we can clean up.
Beer.
Will beer de-skunk, or will it be debunked?
What are you doing? You're spraying it all over the floor. That's going to help. You start at the top and you work down.
It's hard being Jamie sometimes.
Humans are very sensitive to thiols, the chemicals in skunk spray. We can detect them in minute quantities, parts per billion. In fact, a sulfur thiol is added to odorless natural gas, just so we can detect leaks.
It smells like the men's room in a dive bar.
Yeah, but like a dive bar frequented by skunks?
Got that skunky beer smell.
It's skunky though still?
It's slightly skunky.
The beer hasn't helped.
The beer covers it up a little bit. Like I said, it smells like the boys' room.
All right, so beer, busted.
Okay, that's tomato juice and beer down.
All right, time for feminine hygiene products.
How's that work?
I think you just twist it, probably.
So what's in these things?
It's supposed to be vinegar and water. Yeah, it tastes like vinegar and water.
Talk about a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah, I just took a taste test. All right.
Scotty, you're on.
Well, it didn't get out the beer smell.
Just tell us if there's a little skunk on the wind. Yeah?
Yeah.
Still a little skunky. So, feminine hygiene products, douche, busted also.
Not so fresh.
It seems those thiols are still working their magic. We're down to our second to last test.
Okay, it's 2 answers.
Hydrogen peroxide, baking soda, and just a squirt of dishwashing liquid.
Better, worse?
Better.
Goldilocks? Really?
Yes.
A lot better.
A lot better. It smells very clean.
Home remedy might have worked.
Yeah.
When the peroxide, baking soda, and soap mix, they release a storm of oxygen molecules. Those molecules bond with the thiols in the skunk spray and change their chemical makeup. neutralizing their smell in the process. In fact, it's worked so well that the bathroom has to be re-skunked for the final test. Adam uses up the last of the synthetic skunk stink.
All right, so what is this stuff?
Commercial skunk remover.
Really?
Yeah.
It's made for this purpose. What does it smell like? It smells fruity. It smells orangey. Makes me kind of thirsty. Let's go for it. It reeks in here.
It's pretty good. Slight bit of skunk.
How did it compare to the home remedy of the last test?
I think the home remedy worked better.
The home remedy worked better than the commercial skunk remover.
I think so.
I think we've created another myth though here, Jamie.
That skunks won't spray Mythbusters?
Exactly. I'm ready to walk through the woods with impunity now. Skunks, look out! Turn your wheels this way. I want it angled slightly.
It's D-Day for the death ray. Luckily, it's not overcast.
Dude, you think it's gonna work?
Oh, absolutely not.
All right, let's get it floated.
The trireme's being launched on its maiden voyage. Adam and Tori have to work out a way to float their boat. And soon, there's drama on the high seas.
We built half a boat, and it's not floating level because it's only half a boat. So now we're trying to get weight into the back of this thing so we can get it upright and actually see something that we can burn. I can't believe we didn't think of this. I mean, there's an entire crew full of idiots here, and me included.
At the same time, Adam's death ray has arrived in sections, ready for assembly.
These screws that I'm putting in are actually the aiming screws for all 300 of our mirrors. And once we get them in, we have a formula for what their position is, in or out, depending on the row and their position on the mirror. And then we'll get some fire. So, we got the mirrors down, frame's almost done. We're gonna bring the forklift around, lift this puppy up and see if we can't put our sad little boat out of its misery.
Not so fast, Adam. Jamie's arrived on the scene, and he's not happy with the waterlogged warship.
Adam's job of securing the boat sucks. Now I've got to fix it, and I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, but sort of a pain in the butt. The tide's coming in, we have no time, and this ain't a boat, it's sort of a pile of wood.
Jamie, you know, you're gonna put a lot of load on the center of the barrel.
Yeah, you had your chance. Let the guy that actually knows a thing or two about ropes and boats do his work and to the ocean.
If our Phoenicians couldn't build a sufficient boat, it's not my fault, all right?
You were the one that dumped the bag of sand.
I'm backing off.
All right.
Skipper Jamie goes to work with a little help from his first mate, Christine.
I have a job for you.
But she's a bit of a landlubber.
No, I need you to stick your hand all the way under there and grab that rope.
Wait.
Oh! Sorry about that, I couldn't help myself.
The trireme should now stay afloat long enough to test the death ray.
So, Jamie, some more old-timey stuff from the farm? You're gonna go fishing with a bow and arrow?
Well, not exactly. The myth says that Archimedes focused the mirror to hit the boat, a bow shot away from the walls of Syracuse.
Realistically, Jamie, we've made this entire thing, and all the math is to aim about 60 feet away, so if you can, just try and not shoot much farther than 60 feet, okay?
All right.
All right, let's see what it does.
Okay.
Gone. 60 feet is the hot zone, the point at which the 300 reflected rays will converge.
60 feet, right there.
The mirror rig is exactly the kind of thing that Adam's good at. He really flew through this. It's a big, hard to build thing that he did in just like practically no time at all. I think it's actually quite brilliant.
Despite that, he doesn't think it'll work.
It's just so hard to imagine that something of this scale would actually set something on fire from 60 feet away. I just don't know. I'm actually really excited to see whether this works or not, but my guess is that it won't.
The trickiest part of this challenge is raising the rig.
The worst case scenario here is that the whole thing is just going to collapse somewhere in the middle of us trying to lift it. And if that happens, it's going to be like Humpty Dumpty, all the king's men can't put it back together again.
Stop! We got it, Jamie! Oh, look at that! I can't help noticing that it's not on fire. 300 mirrors, it should be on fire.
That's a pretty bright light you got going there, buddy.
The Romans wouldn't know what hit them. Oh, bright light. Sail away.
Jamie dons a fire suit.
There he goes.
And bravely wades in to take a temperature reading.
What's the temperature, Jamie?
It's about 150.
150?
Give it a minute. 200 degrees.
Now, the highest temperature we seem to be reading on the boat right now is about 200 degrees. That's just about 400 degrees shy of ignition temperature.
Even so, the wax is melting.
Oh, I see wax dripping off.
As a boost, the team holds up sheets of Mylar. The added rays bump up the temperature almost 100 degrees.
That's 280 degrees. 284, 287.
The tar begins to smolder, but still no flames. Something else is clear. For this to work, you'd want the enemy to stay very still in exactly the right spot.
Our death ray doesn't seem to be working. I'm standing right in it, and I'm not dead yet.
Despite Adam's best efforts, the beams just aren't concentrated enough. Instead of meeting at a single point, the 300 rays are scattered across the entire structure. The sun's energy is diffused.
I don't think we're gonna get anything better than this. I mean, even if we move the whole mirror, which I'm not sure it would survive, and get into the sun, we're not gonna get instant ignition on this. I think we should call it quits and go for the flaming arrows.
Oh well, nice try, Adam. Now, that's about 2,000 years bad luck right there. Not sure you'd want these guys defending against the invading hordes.
This is harder than it looks.
Molotov cocktail, anyone? The waterlogged trireme just won't burn. Not even gasoline can provide that elusive spark.
It's busted. I mean, from a purely practical standpoint, this myth is 100% busted. If you have enough mirrors that make an effective death ray, the rig that they're mounted to is going to be so big, we saw, that you can't move it or aim it effectively.
Yeah, Archimedes was a really smart guy, and like a lot of us, he knew that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. This is not a simple solution.
No, I mean, you could only use it at a certain time of day when it's most effective. It's difficult to aim. What, are you going to ask your enemy to please show up around noon?
Or what if it's raining?
If I was a Roman, I'd want to show up on a rainy day. Now, this is definitely, I really wanted this one to work. I wanted to see some fire, but the question wasn't whether we could do it, it's whether Archimedes did it, and I think we showed that he definitely didn't.